hit the big 30 last year. I'm now a parent, and it's a massive change from my 20s. It's suddenly adulting, hashtag adulting. Right? And then what I'd like to share maybe is my experience as somebody who's on the way. Okay? I'm not where I want to be yet. I guess I'm on the way, I'm working on it. Maybe I could share something with you from the mentors I've had and the lessons I've learned along the way. Okay, next slide please. Okay. Maybe more of who I am and what I do, and I keep forgetting to talk about this. So I'm currently an industry manager for Google Philippines. Okay, what does that do? What's an industry manager? So basically, I'm an account manager. I work with the world's biggest brands, in particular the Philippines' largest airlines and banks, to help them take advantage of the internet. Why is that important? And I'm going to show a slide about this later on. No? The Philippines is one of the fastest growing countries when it comes to internet connectivity. Okay? When I started my career, barely 5 million people were online. Next year, 70 million people will be online. Okay? And these people will be buying things, searching for things, watching videos, posting photos, setting up businesses, and reaching customers online that weren't there before. Okay? And the passion was, and my passion was really helping businesses and entrepreneurs and big companies take advantage of this trend and help them go online. Okay, I'll get to that in a bit. Okay, next slide, please. So, I was trying to think of witty things to say and original things to say. Then I realized that a lot of what I actually believe to be true come from greater people who have come before me. A lot of the things that I believe hold true come from what my bosses and my mentors have said. Okay, so the first lesson I actually have to give to you is, and this is lesson zero, find a mentor. Okay, that's the most important thing in whatever field you decide to do, whether you become a doctor or an entrepreneur or a corporate guy like me. No, you have to find a mentor, a boss, an investor, a venture capitalist, even your parents, if you're in a family business, who will teach you what you need to know. Why is that important? Next slide, please. So I've had the pleasure of working for 3 very different kinds of bosses and 3 different kinds of mentors. One of them is Donald Lim, currently with ABS-CBN. He was my first boss back in Yehe.com. And back then, he was one of the youngest CEOs in the country. Okay? Learned very important lessons from him. Second is Ed Mapa. Ed Mapa was my boss for most of my agency career. He was a very tough boss and a very memorable boss. The third is my boss in Hong Kong, a guy named Sean Decarte. He was with an agency and now is in New York. No? Why is having a mentor important? Okay? It's because early on in your career, you probably won't know what you want to be. Okay? A mentor will be able to see you for what you are and what your potential is and guide you there. Okay? I can't stress the importance of this enough. Most of what I know, I learned from these guys. Next slide, please. Which leads me to my first lesson. Okay? I remember back in 2007, 10 years ago, I was 1 year into my job in Yehe.com, and I was a salesperson. I was selling media. And a lot of you here, if you're maybe a CPN, probably sold media at some point or another. And I was having a very bad day. Okay, and I was a client event, everything was going wrong, and I thought it was the end of the world. Okay? And I went up to Donald and I said, "Boss, ayoko na, I want to quit." And what he told me next stuck with me for the next 10 years. He said, "Jonathan," that's my nickname. What did he say? I can't forget. It's here. Okay. He said that my real career starts at 30. Anything I do that before that is practice. Anything I do before I turn 30 is just there for my resume. Okay? In other words, if you make mistakes, it probably won't matter 5 years from now. Okay? And it's a very, very profound fact once you realize that. Okay? You are young. You are meant to make mistakes. Okay? You are meant to choose the right decisions. It's when you're in your 20s that you're supposed to find out what you want to do, what your passions are, what you don't like to do, what kind of people you want to work with, and what kind of people you should avoid. Okay? In my case, I made a lot of mistakes from early on, I think. Maybe fortunate mistakes in that sense. One of which was the course I took. So like Rich, I took management engineering. I took another degree, economics honors, and looking back, I was like, why did I take that? Okay, why the hell did I take that? I don't know. I think it was because they were difficult. And they are two of the most difficult courses in Ateneo. This was the title of my, next please, sorry. This was the title of my thesis. And I thought I wanted to be either an investment banker or work in corporate banking. Okay? I didn't know why I took this, but I was a working student while doing this, yahi.com, and I was like, Boss Donald, I'm finishing my degree, I have 9 units, but I want to work. And he said, okay, you can do digital marketing 3 times a week while you're working on your thesis. And I told him, okay, no guarantees, I'm gonna stay after this, but if it's interesting, I'll stay. And that was the start of my career in digital marketing. Okay? But it's not all bad. No, I didn't end up in finance or investment banking, but I did learn a lot in terms of how to think quantitatively, okay? How to use data. All of my classmates eventually became brand managers or went on to run the family business, eventually became my clients. Okay, so it all went well in the end, but I wouldn't have known that 10 years ago. I was like, okay, I wasted my life. Why did I take such difficult courses? Like, stuff like that, no? That I wasn't actually interested in, to be honest. Okay? Next, please. Okay. After 4 years, next slide, please. Is it moving? There. So towards the end of my schooling, actually, I realized I was actually good in marketing. Has anybody here heard of MarkProf? I'm sure you have as graduating students. So it's a program where they get the most promising marketing students from each school, and they give them a boot camp with the most promising marketing practitioners in the industry. You know? So I actually learned I was good in marketing, and that was interesting. Okay, next please. Okay, has anybody here heard of Yehe? Are you young? Are you old enough to remember Yehe? Okay, Yehe. Yehe was the first Philippine search engine. It was run out of a garage. And I joined Yehe because Donald was there. And he said, okay, you can give it a try. Little did I know, 10 years later, I'd be working for the biggest search engine. Yeah, again, I wouldn't have known. In fact, I was probably the least paid graduate of my batch in management engineering. I was earning below minimum wage for the first year of my career. Okay, and it was really just because I wanted to learn. And that's maybe one lesson that I could share with you is that don't think about money at the start. Okay, don't think about fame. Don't think about the prestige of what you're doing. Instead, be there to learn. Okay, because you won't know where that will bring you 10 years later. Okay. Next slide, please. I brought this up a while ago, and this is a bit of luck actually. So this is a slide from the Google Knowledge Graph showing the Philippine internet population as of 2013 and now. So 2013 we were at 6% penetration. In 2007 I started my career. 6 million people were online. Okay. Fast forward now, there are 70 million people online. See that spike in the blue line? I rode that wave. Okay, so there was a bit of luck. Okay, I entered digital marketing at a time when it was very nascent. No one knew how to do it. I self-taught myself how to code, how to do Google Analytics, Google AdWords. That was where I guess I started learning. Started applying what I learned, started talking to people about what I was passionate about, which is using digital marketing to help businesses. Okay, next please. After Yehe, I went to a small digital startup agency called Media Contacts. I was employee number 3, and we were very, very scrappy. Okay, and scrappiness was something that you really had to live as a startup. No? Compared to a big company, even a company like Google, where your role is very defined. Like if you're a salesperson, you're a salesperson. In a small company, you have to take on different roles. No? So I wrote ads, sold media, and like us there, I used to work together. But we were also very brave. Okay? Because we were small, we were able to do things and pitch ideas that were never before seen. No? Like for example, if You know, in YouTube, you could do a campaign where you can choose the next video. We did that back in 2008. Choose your own adventure style. Okay, we were actually on top of the very first Facebook page for Unilever, which was for Dolphy Philippines. Okay, we were doing groundbreaking stuff back then, but back then we didn't feel like it. It was like, okay, we have to survive. We have to keep on doing new ideas. We have to keep on learning and stuff like that. Right? The risk paid off. Okay, so we ended up getting recognized for a lot of things. We won Agency of the Year back in 2009, and that was unheard of for an agency that was 1 year old. Okay, next please. If you read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, has anybody read that? Okay, what it says is that to be very, very good at one thing, you have to spend 10,000 hours working on it. So Mozart practiced music for 10,000 hours. An expert at a field did something for 10,000 hours. One thing I was able to do because I was young was actually practice a lot. And I did tons and tons of overtime work. I would sleep in the office. I spent 2 nights, I think, per week not going home. It was something that happens a lot in advertising agencies, and I'm not really proud of it, but you have to do it. It's part of it. You have to work hard to get where you want to be. And it paid off. I got promoted 7 times in 2 years. I was strategic planning director of an agency by the age of 24. Okay, and I was unheard of at that time. Next slide, please. And the awards started coming in, the stuff you saw a while ago. So campaigns were recognized. I was written about in magazines, recognized for my work in digital marketing, and so on and so forth. Next, please. And so on. I even became Employee of the Year at Havas Asia Pacific. Okay, so next, please. What's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, if you do make a mistake, you can start over. It's not that bad. Okay, I mean, you still live with your parents, likely. You don't have a family yet. You can afford to make mistakes. Okay, while you're young, make mistakes. Learn what you're good at. Learn what you're not good at, and so on and so forth. Next, please. Okay, second lesson I learned from my other boss, Ed Mapa, and he would hammer something every single time that we had a meeting and we felt that we were all that and we were good. And he would say, clients don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Okay, and it applies to people as well. And this is very particular to millennials. Okay, why is that? They say we're entitled. So I'm going to tell you a story of my earlier childhood. Next, please. I was very, very good in school. I was the guy on the left side. Okay, so I studied. I was very, very good at taking exams. Okay, I graduated salutatorian in high school. I joined tons of math contests. I didn't play basketball or all that. I wasn't an athlete at all. I would just study. And then actually I didn't have to study. I'd read books, and then I'd be good at exams. I'm very good at memorizing stuff. Okay? Next, please. Sorry, there's GLA over there, but sorry. But if you remember the digital LG quiz, I joined that, and in one season I had the highest ever score ever recorded. I didn't end up winning, but I was very good at quiz shows. I'm very good at general trivia. You can try me out. Okay? I'm very good at standardized exams. So if you know the NEET, I don't know if the NEET's still around, but in grade 6 I got the highest score in the Philippines. Next, please. I got scholarships to every university I applied for. I actually topped the OCAT out of 64,000 people, but I didn't go to UP. Sorry, because I thought like my courses in Ateneo were harder. But then again, that was the wrong motivation, right? Next, please. I'm also part of Mensa. Okay. Why am I bringing this up? And why weren't they brought up in my intro? Because they don't matter. Okay. One thing you'll realize, especially when you go into corporate, is that no one owes you anything. Okay? You are there to make value. You are there to create something useful. Okay? It doesn't matter how good you think you are, it's how you create value for other people, whether it's a company, or the country, or the world. Okay? You are there to create things. You are there to make something out of nothing. You're there to make things better. And that's how you progress in any career you choose. Okay? Next slide. Are you familiar with Jan comics? I love them. Okay. So, inevitably I'm gonna get asked, how do you get into Google? Okay? And I wish it was this easy, because cute ka, or matalino ka, or you were the president of your student council, or it's not that easy. Okay? You have to be very good at what you do and have a proven track record. Okay? And that's the same with any good job in any company. Okay? You have to work on it. And in my case, going back, I was again pretty lucky to have the background of an early adopter for the internet. So back in 1996, I was 10 years old. I was the first kid on the block to get a computer. It was a Packard Bell Pentium 1, or I think it was a 486. And I learned to take it apart and put it back in. So who remembers 486s? You're old. Or Pentiums. The monitor was this long. It was a CRT. I had this drive, 3.5, and a CD-ROM. I don't know if you remember that. But the most important part is we had a 28 kilobyte, 28 kbps modem. Okay, and I'd use up that 5 megabytes I had every month, and I'd go overboard because I was learning how to code. Okay, next please. In the computer lab in LaSalle, where Nix and I are from, I learned QBasic. And I played Twinkle Twinkle using MIDI. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Okay, but again, it was something that I taught myself because I was really interested in it. Okay, and again, next please. And this is pretty fortuitous. Back in 2009, I was probably one of the very first people certified in Google Analytics in the country. And again, I didn't know I was going to end up in Google. But when I applied, and eventually when I decided it was time to move on to technology, I actually had this in my backpack. Okay? So you have to earn where you want to go. Okay? You have to know how to create value, and you have to spend your early 20s working on finding that point where you can make a difference. Okay? I'm going to get that again in a bit. Okay, next please. So lesson 3. This is maybe my original part where it didn't come from a mentor, but and this is me being geeky, no? Has anybody here heard of the quantified self? Okay, what does that mean? I measure everything. And my wife would attest to this, but I have spreadsheets for every aspect of my life. Okay, from finance to my weight, to what I eat, to all my workouts, etc., etc., etc. Why is that? Because you don't know if you're getting better if it's not measurable. Case in point, next please. This was me, 2008. I was obese. I was obese for most of my first 20 years of life. I was 30 pounds heavier, and I couldn't lose weight. Okay, and there came a point where I was just like, okay, I can't breathe properly anymore. I can't climb stairs without like breaking a sweat. It was taking a toll on my life, and I was like, okay, I need to do this differently. Okay, next please. So I ended up measuring my weight every day. So every day since 2015, I've been logging in my body fat, and the first thing in the morning after taking a pee, my weight, etc., etc. And this is actually what the trend is. And if you read the book 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss, very, very good author, you'll find out that the act of measuring allows you to trend towards something that you want to be. Okay, next please. So this is my fitness pal. I can eat junk as long as it fits my macros. Okay, if you've heard of IIFYM, somebody's nodding there. Okay, next please. Every single CrossFit workout I do, I record and I benchmark it against how people are doing in the world. So the great thing about big data is that so much benchmarking is available. Next please. And why is that important in your career? Okay, if you do choose to go corporate, one of the biggest things that you'll face is politics. Okay, so how do you palakasan ba? How do you gain favor? How do you get promoted? Etc. etc. One thing I find is that if you quantify the value that you do, it's easier to tell your narrative. Okay, badly put. Okay, if you can increase the number of leads that you're getting back by 300%, okay, that's value you're showing over there. Okay, if you are generating hundreds of millions of dollars in sales for an airline, okay, or for an e-commerce company, then again, that's something you can put on your resume. If you're the youngest ever at age 25 to win an award, okay, and if you track the history of that award, again, it's value you can add to your CV. Okay, so the lesson there is measure things against a goal. Okay, that's the only way you know you're improving. Otherwise, you'll just look in the mirror and say, may abs na ba ako? You really can't tell, right? You have to measure things. Okay, next. This is the last point that I have. Okay, the most important maybe is taking control of your narrative. Okay, so when I first went to Hong Kong, my boss sat me down. So Sean sat me down and said, tell me where you want to be in 2 years and I'll help you get there. Okay, and that's something I really, really respect from a boss or a mentor. Is that they will tell you to have the end in mind. Okay? Why is that important? Next, please. 2 things that you have to ask yourself. Okay? Where do you want to go? And are you heading in that direction? Okay? Whatever path you choose in your career, the worst thing you can do is to meander along aimlessly. Okay? You have to always move forward, make progress, learn where to pivot, and pivoting is something you'll hear a lot from tech companies, and eventually learn how to exit. And an exit doesn't mean leaving your job. It could be moving on to the next stage, it could be asking for more responsibility, it could be setting up your own business. Okay? But you have to learn when to pivot. Okay? And the only way that you'll be able to do that is if you take control of your story. Okay? Whether you work for a big company, a small company, or for yourself, in the end, no one can make you happy but yourself. Okay? Next, please. Okay, so I'm sort of a masochist, and maybe it's me making up for lost time because I used to be really, really unhealthy. But has anybody here run a marathon? Nobody. Half marathon. Extremely painful. Extremely, extremely painful. So I did my first marathon in Bali. I ran for 5 hours straight in tropical heat. It was crazy. Okay, has anybody done CrossFit? Okay, and you know, anybody who did CrossFit would keep on talking about CrossFit. It's a cult. But why is it important? Okay? The mental toughness that you'll get from doing something difficult will get you through the worst days at work. Okay? If you can run for 5 hours, you can probably do anything you want. Next, please. If Brittany can make it through 2007, you can probably get to a bad day at work. Kapit lang, bes. Next. Okay. And again, the masochist in me. One of my other passions is mountaineering. So I climbed Mount Apo, which is the highest mountain in the Philippines. I climbed Mount Pulag. I climbed mountains in Indonesia. And they're all 2,800 meters and above. And if you've tried hiking, some people like surfing or some people like scuba diving, I find that certain kinds of people gravitate towards mountaineering. Okay, which is really a huge slog. You really, at some points you'll be asking yourself, why the hell am I doing this? Okay, and especially towards the last assault on the summit, and then eventually you hit the top and it's worth it. Okay, and it's really an analogy to what you do for work. There are some days when you feel you're stuck in the bog, when you feel you're like not moving anywhere, but as long as there's a summit at the end, it's going to be worth it. And that's the most important part. Again, going back to what I said earlier, there has to be direction. There has to be a goal. Okay? If you find yourself like struggling, but there's nothing at the end, then maybe you're heading in the wrong direction. Okay, so lesson there. Okay, next. Which brings me to my last slide. I've seen this a lot on the internet. I don't know who's the original person behind it. But what it says is that to be happy at life in general, you have to ask yourself 4 questions. What are you good at? Okay, that's the one on the left side. What do you love doing, which is your passion? What you can get paid to do, which is subsistence, and what the world needs on the right. Okay? If all of that combine, that's the middle, and you're very lucky if you're there, then you found your purpose. Okay? But I think one thing that is not said enough is that not all of us are there. Okay? Your life is a journey to get there. Okay? Some people will be combining 2 or 3. So whether you found your passion, your mission, your vocation, or your profession, and that's completely okay. Okay? Not all of us are living the life we want yet, but what's important is that we get there slowly and surely. Okay? So that's, I guess, what the whole point of today is. You have to take control of your narrative. Okay? You have to decide that you want to get somewhere, and you have to actively get there. Whether you choose to be a lawyer, a doctor, an artista, an entrepreneur, an inventor, like different kinds of people have different kinds of happiness in their lives and purpose in their lives. Okay? But you won't get there until you take control of your narrative. Okay, so next please. Summarizing the 4 things. 1, you're young, make mistakes. Okay, you're still young, you can afford it. 2, create value. Whatever career path you take, create something of value. Okay? 3, and this is me, it works for me, measure everything religiously. Okay? 4, take control. And lastly, go forth and do something epic. Whatever you choose to do. Isa said it very, very well a while ago. Do something for the country, do something for the world, do something that matches with your talent and your passion, and something, ideally something you can monetize as well, right? But whatever it is, take control. Thank you.
Do something that you can.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Jonathan Joson. Jonathan, thank you so much